y'all. A few weeks ago, OkieRob asked me to kind of review what I hope he was talking about was the Ball Canning Cookbooks. He said in his comment the Big Canning book, but I don't have one called that. There is one called the Big Book of Preserving the Harvest by Carol W. Kostenbader, but I'm not familiar with it. So I'm just going to kind of go over the Ball Blue books and hope that's what you meant, Rob. And I apologize for taking so long to get to doing this, but I have been really busy at work and also fighting the sinus crud that's going around. It's kind of hard to do much of anything when you can't get the room to stop spinning because this stuff settled into my ears. So anyway, let's kind of go over these. I'm going to start with the Ball Blue book, which is pretty much the Bible for canners. This is a great book for beginners because it does step-by-step instructions, even has some pictures of going through the process of water bath canning and pressure canning. It also has chapters on, freezing and dehydrating, if you want to get into that part of food preserving. It describes things in like the jams and jellies. It'll tell you the difference between a jelly and a jam and a preserve and a conserve. It's just chock full of a lot of really good information, and for 128 pages for under $10 at Walmart, and that's with the index, so it's not a very thick book, but this ought to keep you, if you're just getting started in canning, it ought to keep you busy for the first year or two while you get comfortable with your equipment and with what you're doing, and help you to build up your confidence, and you know that these are safe, tried and true recipes. This is not the most current edition. There is a newer one out, and there's been a number of times when I've been in the canning section of Walmart and I've seen somebody looking a little puzzled or confused, and I'll ask them, if I can help them with something, if they have a question about canning, and they'll almost always tell me, I'm new to canning, or I want to get started canning and I just don't know where to start. I'll pull this book off the shelf and hand it to them, and that's where you start. Okay, your next book is the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. This one, I feel like, is when you're ready to take that next step, when you're ready to really start experimenting with different combinations of foods, like pineapple chili salsa. Not something I would eat, but that's just what I turn to. This does not cover any freezing or dehydrating. This is strictly a canning cookbook. Pretty much, I believe. Yeah, it is, and it covers the basics. It covers safety features. Home canning, problem solver. Covers your altitudes if you live in a different altitude. If you're pressure canning or even water bath canning, you have to do stuff for either more pressure or longer time periods. What have you. I'm at the normal settings, so not a lot of pictures in this one. It's hard to see that way, but the pictures are kind of in sections, but just lots and lots of recipes for when you're ready to spread your wings and really start trying stuff. It took me a year or so before I got comfortable to get past the first one, and before I purchased this. And I'm not saying that either this cookbook or the next one are not, I'm not saying they're not for beginners. By any means, a beginner could take any of these books and start. I'm just saying, for me, this is what worked, was that one first, then this one. And now let's move on to the all-new Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. This came out last year. This has a lot more pictures in it. It's, kind of like eye candy for cookbook collectors, I guess. We like the pictures in there. This is even more unusual combinations of food from what I'm seeing. I mean, not all of them are strange. Like this first one I turned to was a citrus vanilla bean marmalade. that actually sounds pretty good. I would try it. No, I wouldn't, because it has grapefruit in it. I'm out. Sorry. Don't like grapefruit. But this book will also give you recipes to use the things that you've made in your canning and preserving. It also touches on, it has chapters on freezing, dehydrating, and it throws in curing and smoking. I'm not into the curing and smoking. I might smoke a shoulder or a pork loin every once in a while, but that's to be eaten immediately, not to preserve for long term. It also has a chapter on fermenting. I'm not much into fermenting, so I'm not gonna touch that. Number of water bath cannings, the jams, jellies, marmalades, preserves, fruits, butters, chutney, relishes, salsas and sauces, tomatoes and pickles. There is pressure canning in here. That's on page 270. And a lot of, I noticed that, a number of these are, if I can find 270, are like meals in a jar. In fact, there's a section back in here. There we are. Simple one-jar meals. It's got chicken chili verde, chicken curry, chicken and gravy dinner in a jar, hot roast in a jar, beef stroganoff in a jar. I didn't care for their stroganoff because I don't make stroganoff with tomato paste. Shredded chipotle beef for tacos. I made the hearty chicken stew that is in here. I haven't tried it yet. I took some to my mom. I don't know if she's tried it yet. But anyway, this is kind of your next step from this one as far as I'm concerned. All three are really good cookbooks. As you can see, I've got lots of little tabs in all of mine as to things I have marked that I want to try. So that's kind of a review of these in a nutshell. And Rob, I hope that has helped you if you don't have any of these books or were considering getting some of these books. If you have any other questions, anybody, Rob or anybody else, or comments, please leave them below and I'll answer you as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next time.